This video is a great do-it-yourself foodie tour in Boston, incorporating elements from the historic Freedom Trail. This video is useful whether you are visiting Boston by land or by sea.
Hi y'all, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Becky.
And together we're cruising good time. Before we get into the video, real quickly, I want to take just a second to thank all our subscribers for returning to watch the video. If you just found us with this video, please give us a like and subscribe and turn on those notifications. It really helps us out. We absolutely love Boston. It has a fantastic food scene with the Italian influence, the New England influence, and the seafood influence. Plus, it has a wonderful Freedom Trail, which is a 2.5-mile track through American history, if you will, revolutionary American history, that starts at the Boston Common, winds through downtown, ends at the North Church on the north end, and you can continue further into the Bunker Hill Monument over in Charlestown, or the USS Constitution, which is the oldest active naval vessel in the world, and that is in the naval shipyards just right there in Boston Harbor.
Our challenge was to find the best restaurants and amazing historic sites to fit within a one-day window. We also wanted to be sure to eat at an amazing pizzeria, Galleria Umberto. And although Galleria Umberto is open from 11 to 3, it is very, very popular, and it will stop serving food as soon as it runs out. So our goal is to arrive at Galleria Umberto before 11 a.m.
To achieve that challenge to get to Galleria Umberto in time, we decided to work the Freedom Trail a little bit backwards, beginning at the Old North Church right there in the north end of Boston. It's only 5 or 6 blocks away from the restaurant, so it made a great starting point for us, and we just kind of worked it backwards into some other restaurants we'll talk about in a minute. The Old North Church, which is very famous from Paul Revere's Midnight Ride in 1775, this is where the church sexton hung 2 lanterns in the bell tower to signal the British were coming by sea, as opposed to 1 lantern by land. And so it's very famous in that way. You can go visit it. They have a printing demonstration right there at the church, a lot of historical sites. You can get in a ticket there for about $5 or $10. We recommend you buy an $18 ticket there. That gets you into the Old North Church, and as we'll talk about in a little bit, the Old State House and then the Old South Meeting House all get you on the same ticket, so there's a little more bang for your buck to get in that way.
Boston is famous for its Italian food and especially its pizza. It has what's known as 3 restaurants that are considered the holy trinity of pizza dough. That is Galleria Umberto, Pizzeria Regina, and Santarpios. We decided to go to Galleria Umberto.
Yeah, it's right there on Hanover Street, which is right on the Freedom Trail, so it's easy to get to, and made a lot of sense to try that one out. Galleria Umberto is great Sicilian-style pizza. It's got a thicker crust in this case, a really flavorful sauce, and some great toppings on top there. We really enjoyed it there a lot, but I think you really like the arancino.
Oh, I love the arancino. So arancino is a ball. It's risotto that has cheese and meat, and it's deep fried with a crispy crust, and they are fabulous. We fell in love with these in Sicily, and the arancinis we had did not disappoint.
Yeah, I think they tasted just like the ones we had in Sicily the few times we've been there. It's absolutely outstanding food. Once we were finished eating our lunch at the Galleria Umberto, we went just a couple blocks right on over, back on the Freedom Trail to the Paul Revere House. It's a $6 admission there to get in, see do a do-it-yourself tour. And it's really insightful because you kind of get a lot of view of colonial, how people lived in colonial times, with the fireplaces and what their bedding looks like and their furniture and all that. So when we left the Paul Revere House, we walked further down the Freedom Trail to the Faneuil Hall. We didn't go into the Faneuil Hall this day because we're pressed for time to make all our challenges to get to the different restaurants and sites. If you do have some time, it's a good place to go in, get some, it's run by the National Park Service. They have a lot of information on historic Boston there, so it's worthwhile taking in. Next door to the Faneuil Hall is the Quincy Market. Fantastic food scene there. Every type of food you can possibly imagine right there. Really good food to take in. We decided not to eat at the Quincy Market and take the advice of a couple of our friends that grew up in Boston and go 1 block away to the Black Rose Pub.
The Black Rose Pub is absolutely amazing. Absolutely love the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We had the fish and chips. It was the best fish and chips I had ever eaten.
It was absolute wonderful fish and chips. They're right out of the fryer. They're good and crisp, a lot of flavor to them. The fries were good and crisp. We really enjoyed those. I liked the clam chowder. It was very rich, very creamy, and it was just fabulous New England clam chowder.
Yeah, absolutely adored the clam chowder. If you go there, it's a must. Next, we faced the rain and walked to the old state house that was built in 1713. It has 3 stories. The bottom story held the market exchange, and the second floor held the colonial government seat. And of course, now it's been turned into a museum that has lots of interesting exhibits.
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit to see there. You can spend a lot of time in there with different types of exhibits around colonial times and a lot of information there. Right outside of the State House is the site of the Boston Massacre that occurred in 1770. There's a placard on the sidewalk right there, shows you where that happened. Yeah. We proceeded then on down to the Old South Meeting House, which is about 3 or 4 blocks south of the Old State House. And that was a large congregational church built in the early 1700s. It served as a meeting point for all the colonists because it could seat about 5,000 people, and it served as the point where they organized the Boston Tea Party and several other colonial events at the time because they could get a room in there that everybody could get in.
Our next challenge was we really wanted to eat at the Neptune Oyster Bar, which is an iconic restaurant and very, very busy. So our goal was to arrive there by 4:45. If your schedule permits, you could follow the Freedom Trail to the Old Corner Bookstore. Now, it's now just a plaque on the side of a Chipotle. My daughter recommends that you stop by a nearby site, which is not officially on the Freedom Trail. It's the Boston Irish Famine Memorial. It is a very moving statue.
Due to schedule, we had to abandon the Freedom Trail at this point and went back to the north end on Salem Street to go to the Neptune Oyster Bar.
The Neptune Oyster Bar is very, very famous. When you arrive, there is going to be a long line, but it is so worth the wait. And it's interesting, they have this great big picture window in the front, and they have all these oysters on display. They buy oysters from up and down the eastern seaboard, and they have somebody right inside the window who's shucking oysters. Everything you get is super fresh and super delicious. When we were seated, they took us in. It's a very small place, very cozy, a little bit loud, and we were seated at the bar, and it was great. We were sitting next to some Bruins fans. They were very friendly. The wait staff was friendly. It was just a fabulous experience.
We really had a great time there, and it's a great experience in that restaurant. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a big fan of raw oysters at all. We tried 4 different types there. All 4 of them were absolutely outstanding. They were all home runs, knocked out of the park, in my opinion. Great, great time. I do recommend it. We also tried some clam chowder there. A little bit different flavor profile from what we had at the Black Rose Pub earlier that morning. But that's what you want to do the foodie tours. Compare, contrast the different things, take it all in, get a good feeling for the food scene in a great city like Boston like that. Is you have to try clam chowder more than one spot. We also had a hot lobster roll there. That was outstanding. And in case you don't know, all up and down New England, Boston, and everywhere else, they're going to talk about hot lobster rolls and cold lobster rolls. Hot lobster roll, the lobster served warm, has melted butter on it, absolutely delicious. Cold lobster roll, the lobster served chilled, obviously, and it has mayonnaise on it. Both are outstanding. I recommend you try them both and decide which one you want to do. The hot lobster roll at Neptune Oyster Bar absolutely rocks. So,
yeah, it was the best one we had when we were up and down the seaboard on this trip. So we had always planned to end our day with a cannoli. And Boston has 2 legendary cannoli shops, Mike's Pastry and Modern Pastry. And we'd seen boxes of these all day with people carrying them around the town. So while we were at the bar at Neptune's Oyster, I'd asked the Bruins fan what his favorite was, and he said he absolutely preferred Modern Pastry and that Mike's was for tourists. I'd also read an article along those lines, but from person to person, which has the better cannoli is like practically fighting words. So we went over to Modern Pastry to order a cannoli.
what you want to look for in a cannoli is a really good crisp crust on there, and it's stuffed with ricotta cheese, and it's not overly sweet, and it doesn't have a lot of extra stuff on it. A Sicilian one will have maybe a little bit of chocolate on it or a little bit of pistachio, but nothing wild or crazy beyond really those sort of things on it. If we'd had more time on our schedule, we would have certainly done a cannoli off and got one at both places and compared it. We were pressed for time to get back to the ship, so we just went with modern only based on a recommendation at Neptune Oyster, and it was absolutely outstanding. It was really, really good cannoli. Every bit as good as what we've had in Sicily.
Yeah. And one little pointer about cannolis is if you're in Sicily, this is what they'll recommend for you, is don't buy anything that's sitting in the case. Instead, order a cannoli espressi, and there they fill it in the back, and what you have is fresh, and that's how Modern served the cannolis to us. The cannolis were delicious and the perfect ending to a fabulous day. Next, we caught an Uber, made it back to the ship, easy peasy, terrific day. We have done the Freedom Trail different times of year. It is much better to do during the summer months. During the summer months, there are longer hours of operation and they have more demonstration events. So it's very, very important that you check the hours for everything you want to see on the Freedom Trail as they differ from season. And also, many things will not be open on Mondays, no matter what time of year.
An alternate we could have done, but we didn't do it this time because of scheduling, was instead of seeing the North Church, we could have seen the USS Constitution. It's a little bit further down the Freedom Trail there. It's kind of off by itself. I love old ships and trains and airplanes and everything else, so I love to go see this. USS Constitution is the oldest commissioned ship in the United States Navy, and I think it's the oldest commissioned ship in the world right now. It's a great thing to go see. It takes an hour or two to go see it. You could do that by Uber, go see that, take an Uber back over to the Galleria Umberto, start the pizza tour from that point as well. And while you're over by the USS Constitution, the Bunker Hill Memorial is right there as well. You could take that in maybe just as a drive-by in an Uber to see it. If you want to stop and climb it, you're going to impact the schedule of what we outlined already. Both are worthwhile to go see though, for sure.
Our family has loved visiting the USS Constitution. We're very interested in what you've enjoyed in Boston. Please leave us some comments below. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching.
If you liked the video, please give us a like and subscribe and turn on those notifications. It really helps us out, and come join our community.
Until next time, have a cruising good time.